Good evening, everybody. You got the doc here. We are joined by King James and special co-host, one, the only, the other James from Wandering Specific.
Hey, everybody.
There are too many James.
Yeah, but there's only two that matter.
There you go.
Exactly. So we are still on our West Virginia kick. We've gone to Point Pleasant.
Cool.
Now we are going to go to Flatwoods. It's a good hour and 45-minute drive from Point to Flatwoods. And we were talking about uh, an incident that happened before the Mothman incident.
This is the one
So
that
we've got September 12th, 1950.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So this was in Braxton County. The aliases are Braxton County Monster, Braxy Phantom of Flatwoods, and the Green Monster. Goes by a lot of different names to it. Um, if I could figure out how to put on pictures while we're talking, that'll be the next thing I try to do. But we are talking about the sighting of September 12th, 1952, and they've referred to that as the Seven. So there were seven kids. So we got the Mays brothers, Ed and Freddie, 13 and 12. They're playing on the school playground at dusk with their friends Neil Nunley, 14, Ronnie Shaver, 10, and Tommy Hyde, also 10. A pulsating red light streaked across the sky and crashed onto a nearby farm belonging to G. Bailey Fisher. The boys went to the Mays' grandparents' house where their mother was. They got Mrs. Kathleen May and all of them up the hill to investigate. She called on the National Guardsman Gene Lemon, who was 17, to accompany them with his dog Richie. Again, we've got more people bringing dogs into situations dogs shouldn't be into. Big and creepy and scary. Let's bring the dog. That is a bad horror movie. All day, every day, all over the place. So they get up there, the hill covered with a dense mist as they approach the site of the presumed crash. Um, on the way up the steep hill, they notice a pulsating or flashing light accompanied by a loud hissing and banging sounds. Once they got a bit closer, they noticed a terrible sulfuric smell. So we got a smell, we got other things. An old cohort of ours would probably say nuclear radiation leaking into the ground, making mass hysteria, cats and dogs living together. We all know we're all going back to those country roads. Mountain Mama, take me home. Yes, that was told that I had to put in since we're on West Virginia. There had to be West Virginia song lyrics somewhere in the podcast. Next time around, I won't tell anybody, and everybody can pick it out where it is.
Nice.
All right, up the steep hill, they notice that. They get the sulfuric smell. Gene Lemon led the group. That's my favorite. So cuddly. People are already commenting. Gene Lemon led the group and saw the monster first when he shined his flashlight up the hill. He saw a pair of bright orange eyes that caused him to scream and fall back. The monster was about 10 to 12 feet tall and appeared to be levitating off the ground. The original newspaper clipping said it had a bloody red body and green face, but common lore suggests the red face and green metallic clothing. The creature appeared to have a spade-shaped hood and twisted hands that might have ended in claws. By the way, I just want to point out Flatwoods, West Virginia, just this weekend had their Flatwoods Monster uh, big convention and celebration, celebrating 72 years of Flatwoods Monsters.
Wow.
Wow.
A little shout out, not being advertised, not being paid, but hey.
Hey, last week it was Mothman. This week it's
So
Batman.
if we
Yeah.
oh yes, and then the last two for West Virginia are going to be quite interesting. and it's actually going to end up back in Point Pleasant for a different creature. But that we're not talking that the other creature. We're talking Flatwoods. All right, so the monster's coming down the hill. It's kind of looking at everybody, and everybody's kind of looking at it, and they're all scared. They're all kind of frozen in fright, unlike
Mm-hmm.
us gentlemen who would just be like, "Come on, bring it," because we're insane. All right. The monster made a shrill hissing sound and charged the group, and the group fled. Um, May and Lemon reported the monster to local authorities, and the authorities searched the area that night but found nothing. Some of the members of the group suffered from throat irritation, vomiting, and nausea, which persisted for days. These symptoms were passed off as side effects of hysteria, but it was also noting that these were telltale signs of exposure to mustard gas. So a lot of them were exposed to this mustard gas sensation, along with this alien craft landing and seeing this alien hovering down the mountain at them. Now, this was one of those things where people had talked about forever that the people who were actually affected by the mustard gas were still having effects long into their adult lives. And the group became widely known as the Seven. Kind of ominous, kind of a weird nickname. The Seven. Yeah, we won't say what I'm drinking.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So now here's the point in the story where a lot of people would be like, okay, so it was seen one time and that was it. That was all. We're done. One time deal. Uh, we all know a buddy of ours would actually be like pestering us about this one about, oh, so it was seen one time. Well, this was a quick podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But wait, it was
There's more.
seen more often than one time. There's more.
More.
Audra, more. Audra Harper had seen it in Heaters, West Virginia, several days before the Flatwoods sighting. A short time before the sighting by the Seven, Mrs. Audra Harper in the woods near her town of Heaters, West Virginia, 5 miles north of the Flatwoods. Harper and a friend were walking to a nearby store going through a shortcut in the forest. About a half mile into their trip, they saw a ball of fire on one of the hills. Harper dismissed it, assuming a neighbor was fox chasing. When she glanced back, the fire had vanished, and in its place was a tall-shaped man with a dark silhouette. They ran, escaped in the rocks and boulders amongst the hillside. But wait, there's
more.
even more.
Damn right. Was it seen a third time?
We like when there's more sightings. It was seen a third time on September 13th,
Was that Friday?
1952. I don't know. I'd have to look back on it. But yes, we just had a Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
So it was seen 20 miles south of Flatwoods the next day after the Seven seen it. George and Edith Snitwowski, I'm butchering that name. I'm sorry, George and Edith. I will get it right next time. Their 18-month-old son were driving in the dark through the rural area between Clay and Braxton County on Route 4 when their car suddenly died, which, by the way, is just one of those synonymous things with UFOs, cars dying, electronics just passing out and giving up. By the way, our researcher says that September
It was on a
15th,
Saturday.
1952 was a Saturday.
Dun, dun,
It
dun,
was on a
dun.
Saturday. So the Seven saw it on a Friday, and then George and Edith saw it on a Saturday. All right, so they died. George attempted to restart the car, but it didn't work. Sulfurous smell filled the air, and the baby started to cry. And the men in black have found me, so yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. Sorry, I forgot to put up the Flatwoods banner. Okay. It's been a weird day. All right. So as he's out, he's trying to get the car to start. A sulfurous smell once again filled the air, and the baby started to cry. A strange bright light appeared before them, and they saw a 10-foot creature hovering in front of the car. Description was similar to the May description, but it didn't have the spade-shaped hood. The head was instead reptilian and bony, dragged a lizard-like hand across the hood of the car, and fled in the woods. It was then the car finally restarted, and they sped away. George gave his account to Mail magazine 3 years later in July of 1955. So we've got sightings. We got 3 of them. 3 in the bag. They're all talking about the same thing, about the heights, reptilian, sulfurous smell. 10 feet, 12 feet tall, 4 feet wide, red face, eerie orange eyes, spade-shaped hood covering its head in the May sighting, reptilian and bony head in the Snitsowski. I'm sorry, George and Edith, I butchered it again.
That's all right, Doc. You got to listen to us
Green
sometimes.
cloak.
I butcher everything.
Next time, King James gets to
There you go.
pronounce these names.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah. Because why not?
So,
By the way, I threw up a nice little page there. We're going to just tout out our good friends at Wandering Spirits Pacific Northwest. We are not sponsored for this podcast by them, but be sure to check them out if you want a organized podcast. That's who you go listen to.
Well, thank you, gentlemen.
If you enjoy chaos. And we're all back, I guess. All right. I don't know what's going on with that one.
Is he frozen? You go.
Gotta fix this stuff.
Yeah, man. The last couple of weeks, you've been blinking out, and now you're freezing up.
All right.
Did I just hear a cat go flying across the room? So, meow.
I swear the men in black just don't want to. All right, whoever's on the screen gets to run with this because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's going to be like good luck.
I don't know what's going on. All right, so repercussions of the story made the local news. The 7 became famous, even traveled to New York City to appear on talk shows to talk about what they had seen. We said somebody wrote in that the NIB are chasing us with MIB cats. Because I don't know what's going on. The truth is, there was an unusual light in the sky that evening. A staff member of the Maryland Academy of Sciences confirmed that a meteor had been spotted over Baltimore just before the UFO was seen in Flatwoods. And it was also reported by observers in Pennsylvania and, yes, West Virginia. So, scientifically, because we know we've got that one guy that wants to just poke holes in everything. Yes, there was a meteor. It showed up everything. So if you want to go with the swamp gas shooting star theory to it all, then yes, there was a shooting star. There was a meteor. Everybody saw it. Was there nuclear waste involved? No. What other things would he say? Oh yeah. Would this thing be a sign of insanity? Maybe it's mass hallucinations.
He probably would ask.
Days and multiple.
He probably would ask what kind of car it was.
So if they were walking away down the hill, what type of shoes were they wearing?
All right. I think we poked that bear enough.
All right, now, of course, because of the fact that there are different sides of the argument here of it's an alien mustard gas. We do know that the people were exposed to mustard gas. This is authentic. This is not because they went to the hospital, they were checked in. The doctor said, yes, you've been exposed to mustard gas. So that part of their story is true that they were exposed to mustard gas. Now, could the mustard gas have caused hallucinations?
Possibly.
That would be what some people would ask is, well, if there's mustard gas, then it must be a hallucination experienced by multiple people over multiple acreage and mileage.
But they would have the same hallucination, though.
But, well, I mean, if we were all together and having a mass hallucination, would it all be the same hallucination? But if I saw something on Friday, you saw something on Saturday, and James saw something on Sunday, and we all collaborated without talking to each other, is it a mass hallucination?
Yeah, Jade's got a good point.
God, I don't know what's going on tonight, but the internet just doesn't like us.
So, Jade has a good point, were they actually exposed to the gas or, were the symptoms the same? My question would be where'd the gas come from? Where'd the, had to come from somewhere. Do we have military installations around here, around that area?
I know there has been a few. Somebody has said, "Good question." We do have a few military installations that were in Point Pleasant.
Okay.
I don't, not 100% sure about other installations. I know the one in Point Pleasant was actually making explosives, and it did have some nuclear material involved in
Okay.
their construction. As for mustard gas, I wouldn't know if they did, if unless of course it was still classified.
Right. Or
Um,
may have been. Hmm.
Yeah.
one of these days we want to get one of those big wigs with the big hair, and that way I can go. I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. All right, but so what we do know is the Air Force authorities were there investigating. So if this was just a mass hallucination, why did the Air Force show up, and why did it make it into Project Blue Book? Because they were doing a lot of investigation on this stuff. The family spoke to artists who did all the sketches and everything. A local teacher was saying that blinking red air navigation beacons were also within sight of the hill when it went down. So you've got different things that you can look at. Um, Okay, apparently I keep freezing up, so we've got
Right now.
report in. I'm good right now, so I don't know what's going on. I swear it's the MIB.
There was Gray Barker. He grew up in
Yes, go for it.
Braxton County. He was an avid reader and had a lot of interest in science fiction that encountered other paranormal encounters. He was the first to write about the Flatwood Monster sightings. His article, "The Monster and the Saucer," was published in Fate magazine in January 1953. Barker would go on to write books. They knew too much about flying saucers. This book touches on the Flatwood Monsters incident as well as other UFO paranormal related stories. Uh, that book also introduced the notion of the Men in Black from collaborations with Albert K. Bender. Parker claimed that his stories were true, but they were generally accepted as science fiction. Now,
Hmm.
don't know if any of those books were bestsellers or not, but not
I
like the
think
last
maybe
one.
that's what a researcher. I think that's what a researcher needs to start doing is when we're
Find out.
talking about books, was it a
Find out.
bestseller? Was it making money?
And did yeah, this Gray Barker, make anything off it? Did he, do any interviews or any of that sort of stuff? You know.
Yeah, I do know we have a question in the chat. If it was hallucinations, how were they all seeing the same thing?
Well, that's what I was kind of saying earlier.
And that's the interesting thing is okay. So our research individual is trying to find all this information, but she's afraid that the MIB and the CIA are after her for looking up this sensitive
Must-
information.
this is great. Uh,
Yeah, she is currently looking up mustard gas, and probably the MIB is coming to her house right now.
well, glad
Because
because
why wouldn't they be coming to her? Because we're talking about.
see, they're coming after her. She's doing all the research. Hell, you've got the podcast. Leave me alone. I'm fine.
All right, so Martina, lovely Martina, also from Wandering Spirits Northwest, says, but they didn't all see exactly the same thing. I've got too many messages popping up over top of messages.
Yeah,
But they didn't all see exactly the same thing.
their descriptions were.
From what I remember, the descriptions of the being itself were a little different.
Yeah, they were all a little bit different in one way or another.
So I mean, here would be one concept would be is if this is an alien visitor in this spade shaped helmet, um, what if he landed? Then the next day when they see him, he's taken off the helmet and he looks more reptilian. Spacesuit.
Hmm. But why would they need a spacesuit? Come on. You got little men in.
Because they're breathing mustard gas. Or to be completely and totally chaotic, what if he's he stopped at Taco Bell and got some spicy food, and that's the byproduct is mustard gas.
Well, our researcher said that they knew too much about flying saucers. Briefly made the bestseller list in '56.
Hmm.
You can find it on Amazon for $19.99. How's that?
Well, all I know is if it's in West Virginia, we all get on a plane, we go to Point Pleasant for a
We
night or
do the
two,
circuit.
we drive over to Flatwoods, we do the circuit.
Do the circuit.
I mean, basically, the next two conversations with the next two podcasts start. We are starting in Point Pleasant. We're working our way up and around, and back to Point Pleasant.
So I'll give you a little info I found.
So we can quite easily hit them all.
You were saying, James?
Oh, just a little information on mustard gas. First deployed in 1919 in World War One. They stopped using it in 1940. It wasn't admitted by the United States government until 1950 that it had been used, but it wasn't. From what I can find, it wasn't ever like a classified chemical, but the deployment of it was classified, so they knew what it was way by the time this happened. So that was interesting. I can go. I can get behind the breathing mustard gas or something similar. We don't know what they're breathing.
Right. Because I mean, if they're not divulging, the government's not divulging. Watch my internet just crash out here. The government's not divulging mustard gas for a while, and then suddenly you've got a UFO sighting where there's mustard gas, and
Yeah.
people are getting sick and having alterations. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting. Okay, I can go now. I'm waiting for it to crash again. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, maybe
But if
you
the
did.
government found out and was like, okay, they're using mustard gas and this is going on, and then aliens have got mustard gas, and then we're like, oh God, we can't ever use mustard gas, and how do we explain them? And what if it
Yeah,
was
right. Yep.
to be a skeptic? What if there was another base near Flatwoods that produced mustard gas and other biohazards? There was a leak one night with the comet streaking by, maybe an
Ooh.
explosion. The gas is coming down the hills. It's causing a mass psychosis. People people are getting sick off it, having long-lasting effects to it, and then it's all covered up.
Yeah. See, my only problem with that is unless they're the only people that live within that large a mile radius, the hospitals would have been overrun with patients. That you know what I mean? That would be
Exactly.
my thought. So that kind of poo poos that debunk. I mean,
Of course, there are no conspiracies. There's nothing going
no,
on.
no,
Everything's fine.
it's all fine.
As long as everything's fine, the internet lasts and people will let us talk.
Nah.
They got your number.
Yeah, I know. They're probably downstairs right now.
Yeah. Oh,
They're probably just awaiting.
every week they're waiting.
Every week.
Oh, we
They
do say we are going live. And
Yeah,
notice when we have the problems is when we're talking about aliens, alien life,
absolutely.
weird things happening. Did we have issues talking about Bigfoot? No, there was no issues talking about Bigfoot. Was there Loch Ness monster type creatures? No, we had no issues. No internet fades. We start talking about government cover-ups, and oh yeah,
Uh,
we're just getting hit.
Uh,
So I've always found the Flatwoods to be an interesting part because I mean it is West Virginia. It did happen down the road from the Mothman, and the Mothman is one of my favorite cryptids out there.
yeah.
And I mean, West West Virginia would be one of those cool places to go to where you can just kind of hit up to, in our case, it would be 4 different cryptids. I'm getting bad feedback. They are listening in.
That's the case. I'm out of here.
All right, so our researcher is currently firewalling her computer systems. She's a little terrified that the things she's looking up is going to get her in trouble. That is why we don't ever divulge her name or location, but they're probably in the computer system and
I
backtracking.
already know who this person is.
oh yeah. Yep.
They already know.
And so hence that's why I'm drinking. No shit.
All right, so who wants to give their opinions on everything?
We'll let James there start her off.
Oh. I'm not gonna say something doesn't exist if I don't, if I can't see it, if I don't know that it's there, I'm not going to say it doesn't exist. That's for everything, for paranormal, cryptid. Who knows what's out there? Um, from Darren, what you said, there not being any evidence of a landing site or no burned forest material or grass material, anything like that. Um, but people saw roughly the same thing. And I'll go back to, if there was a mustard gas leak, I would assume it would have affected more than 6 or 7 people. Um, and the hospitals or clinics or local doctor or whatever would have had a flood of patients. Um, who knows what's out there? I mean, that's why we're doing this, right? Partially is to find out exactly, what is out there to the best of our ability. So that's my 5 cents. Take it or leave it.
Okay. Well, the question would be, if a West Virginia road trip was to come up, you
Yeah.
want to go?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I've already got part of this thing planned out. Point Pleasant, there's a wonderful hotel. It's very classical. It's haunted. It's right across
Nice.
the street from the Mothman Museum.
Oh,
They do
nice.
have tours to go out to the TNT area. Flatwood,
Nice.
they were 2 weeks ago. They had the Flatwoods, the Mothman Festival was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
This weekend was the Flatwoods. So if we stayed longer, we can go from one festival to another festival to another festival.
I'm in. We're in. Martina says she's in too. So Wandering Spirits is in.
You're talking doing a paranormal investigation and a bunch of cryptids.
Yeah. No, you guys did a great episode on the Mothman. That I just want to point that out. That was really good. You did a great show on that.
Which part? Part 1 or 2? Because there was so much we had to cover.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
yeah, both of them were great, I thought. I mean, so.
Well, I've never seen the Flatwoods Monster. That's one that we've covered. I've never seen it myself. Would I want to see it? Without the mustard gas, probably yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I got enough problems. I don't need mustard gas.
Yeah, right.
All right, King James.
Well, so with all these sightings and the levitations, there's been no reports that I've seen or heard. There's just reports of sightings. There's none that these this creature or cryptid has come after anybody, chased anybody, any of all that. Uh, and just to James's point too, with the mustard gas and the hospitals, and everyone need to go. Shit, I don't know. It's hard for me to believe one way or another. I know we've covered a few other things that are a little more credible, I think, than this, but it's hard for me to say one way or another. Like you, I'd probably want to see one without the mustard gas as well. But
well, we do have one comment.
If the quote unquote 7, they were all young children at the time, correct?
Yes.
It'd be interesting to get to speak with each of them individually and get their own account of that incident.
Yeah.
And get their take on it. That, to me, would speak a little more volume.
Well, I know we've got the other adults, and then there was, the 3. So we got 2 other sightings besides just the 7.
Right. Well,
now, of course,
but the 7 were the first original.
Well, there was the one that was a couple days before,
and then the 7. Okay.
And then the 7, and then Edith, and not going to
You're
say
right.
their name again.
Yeah,
We'll give it a shot.
don't butcher the last name.
You've got the same
Don't do that.
notes.
No, but I'd be more fascinated to hear more from the seven because there were so many of them at the time, and
Right.
um, I find it fascinating that there has obviously not been anything else since then.
Hmm.
Any sightings or reports?
Yeah,
You know,
it's unlike the Mothman who's still being seen to this day. Bigfoot still being seen to this day. Loch Ness monster, et cetera, et cetera.
Hmm.
Other cryptids that have been currently seen. The Flatwoods was only seen in that little chunk of a weekend.
yeah,
Um,
a three sighting and that's it.
3 sightings. Yeah, pretty much it. Maybe
More
maybe that alien species was just here on leave of absence. He was here on a shore leave or something.
spring break,
There you go.
Um,
spring break weekend.
God, what's the term? The Amish, the kids get to go out rumspringen.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah,
Sounds right.
but the alien lands. He gets to go party with all the humans for a weekend, and he has to go back and decide. Rumspringa, Springa, RUMSPRINGE. Thank you, Martina.
you're having a hard time tonight, Mark.
Chaos. Oh, I'm not even that deep into a drink.
That's the problem. You're drinking.
Hey, I'm still getting over yesterday's incident. So we do
Right?
have a comment. We could test the theory by just exposing you guys to mustard gas and reporting what you see. I think some of us would lose our jobs.
Yeah.
If they were able to drug test for mustard gas and we were tested for mustard gas, we'd screw up our lungs and be sick. And not that I want to see if we can compare it, because that might be bad. That might be real bad.
Yeah.
All right, guys, here's some mustard gas. See what you can see.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I can pass on that.
Response to that one was science. Science. No, Jade, we are not doing that for science. Thank you.
If you want
There
to
are other things we'll do for science. We will fully expose ourselves to Mothman, Dogmen, Bigfoot. Uh, we're not trying mustard gas. Mustard gas is not good.
well, we do have, bait. We could send who over and do that.
the human
Ethylene.
sacrifice.
Yeah, I think he deserves it.
So ethylene glycol can be used with almost the same reaction as mustard gas. I didn't know that.
I did not know that either. By the way, James, your esteemed colleague just says no mustard gas. I thought you people were serious investigators.
Mm.
Martina's been trying to off me
That's
for
your
weeks.
person.
I know.
Boy. Turned off you
Martina,
already.
why? Why did you want to do away with him?
Well, hell,
So,
we could send her out there. Sorry, Marky.
so people in the chat, if you wanna chime in on Flatwoods Monster, what you think, what you're feeling, your thoughts, your impressions. Martina is being supportive and driving up your engagement by commenting, and called us rude.
No, she called me rude.
So yes, Flatwoods Monster. Did everybody actually see something? Was it the gas? Is it a military experiment gone wrong? I mean, here's a point when our other co-host would actually run on for 45 minutes on why aliens don't exist. It was nuclear material. It was this. It was that. It was the other thing. So
Right.
I've tried. I have not done a good job being a skeptic on this one. I've tried to weigh out the here's what everybody saw versus here's what other people said they saw. We've come up with the possibility that it's maybe a military thing going on. Maybe we said there was no wreckage. Maybe we know the Air Force was there investigating and it made it into Project Blue Book. What if the Air Force went in and cleaned up all the wreckage? Our researcher, let me pull it up. It's like, just in case it was that sulfur smell, Google told me it smells like mustard.
uh,
And our researcher is done. She is the MIB is knocking at her door.
like going back into hiding.
Which, by the way, now we've got a little bit of. She's going back into hiding. But what we have is Men in Black that ties back in with everything else.
Yeah,
So that would be our tie-in. Maury Island incident, Men in Black.
Yeah.
Mothman.
Roswell, Men in Black.
Mm-hmm.
Mothman, Men in Black. Flatwoods Monster, possible Men in Black. Us talking about UFO and government conspiracies, and my internet goes down, and weird people in black show up at my door. Our esteemed colleague goes missing. How many times did I say that he was Men in Black? He worked at Area 51.
Or wanted to.
We don't see him here tonight. I'm not saying he's a government plant, but something to think about. Martina says it's actually interesting. I was watching a documentary earlier, and some of the descriptions, stuff like the size of the monster, changed over time as they were being interviewed again and again. The two sons also say there was a kind of mythos around it when stuff got added by the community, like the rumor that the dog got sick and died after. I did not know that this dog apparently got sick and died after.
Oh, geez.
Well, now I'm done with this. I'm done with this, guys. That's 2 dogs that died. No, 3 dogs. Maury Island, Mothman.
Yep. All right.
And now her. Oh, yeah. Okay. The dog did not
die. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, Martina now says the dog did not. So it's not a John Wick moment. Because if too many more stories come up with dogs dying, we're not doing a road trip. It's a John Wick movie. It's rolling into these towns going, okay, where's the Mothman? You like to eat dogs? Come here, buddy.
Yeah.
Road trip, leave the dogs at home.
Doing group beatdowns on cryptids for eating dogs. John Wick has nothing on us. I don't want to say this went off the rails, but chaos.
Yes.
Like we always say, you want a good quality podcast, You go to Wandering Spirits. You want pure
Right.
chaos
Yeah, I'm over
with
here.
a little bit of alcohol.
A little bit, yeah. Uh, Martina was also saying, I'm saying details that did not happen were added over time. And maybe it's cryptids causing trouble in Springfield. She having a little drink too? uh, this is good. Oh, Doc, I don't
So
know,
we've
man.
got two more West Virginia, Mountain Mom, Country Roads.
John Denver. Yep.
We got Clever. The MIB will never know if you mean the truth or if you're throwing everyone off the track. We are throwing everybody off the track. This show's too chaotic for anybody to really follow all the way through.
Who wants to believe us anyway?
But pure chaos. Pure unadulterated chaos. For the 8 people that are currently watching us, it's for the 8 people watching us, I apologize for the MIB and everything else. Now we're down to 7. We're losing people. John Denver said West Virginia was almost 7, but I think it's because everyone keeps almost getting eaten by cryptids.
Hey, I thought the researcher was going
West
back
Virginia would be almost 7 if it wasn't for the mustard gas.
Right. Oh, dude, this has gone well off the rail tonight. And there he is.
When don't we go off the rails?
Yeah, but tonight's bad.
I don't know. We got people watching the show and they like it, so that's all that matters.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still flickering in and out.
Well, actually,
My internet is like just dropping sporadically. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you're freezing up, but at least you're not blinking in and out.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing. Maybe when we switch topics off of government conspiracies, the government will be like, okay, you've been a good boy. You may now talk more.
Well, I'm glad we're making Tammy all crack up here. She's liking this show. Loyal follower right there. Oh, James
So, anybody else in the audience have any questions? And of course, I've got my world famous hashtag going across the bottom of the screen for the last 40 minutes?
Hey, I didn't even notice. Go figure. For once, I didn't look down there. Didn't see it. Damn it! You snuck it in.
I haven't had to do any typing for like any smart ass comments tonight.
I know. Damn.
I mean, I'm out of practice. Maybe that's my problem. Normally, I'm just got like different little things going on down on the bottom of the screen to throw off the viewers.
Now wanting to make me laugh even more. Right.
Well, normally somebody's not giving you the opportunity to talk. So
exactly. That's all right.
So anything I can do to break his concentration for you to talk is a good thing. So yeah, so we got Mothman in West Virginia. We got the Flatwoods Monster in West Virginia. We do have two more. We're going to wrap it with Sheep Squatch in Point Pleasant in the 1990s.
Say that sheep squatch. Say that 5 times.
Sheep Squatch.
I'm not
Let me see.
even gonna ask.
The next show will be the Grafton Monster from Grafton, West Virginia. And then we're going to wrap it up, our West Virginia series, back in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, with Sheep Squatch, which was first spotted in the 1990s. Is it the illegitimate cousin of Mothman? Is it merely more nuclear material causing the livestock to change into flesh-eating, 8-foot tall, bipedal sheep?
Oh my god. So we started this series out in West Point, West Virginia. We're gonna finish it up in West Point, Virginia. Holy smokes! Oh,
We're doing a
dude!
giant circle.
Damn, dude.
Next week will next week will be the Grafton Monster,
Yes.
reported to be a 12-foot tall, hulking beast with no head and his eyes in his chest. Also, is that a nuclear monster? Nuclear mutation? Is it Mothman's illegitimate lover? Tune in next week at 8 p.m. to know all these answers. And you just hold on your horses, everybody, because once we're done with West Virginia, I think we need to go to Arkansas.
Uh-oh.
And then it really gets twisted.
Yeah.
Now, see, Arkansas is going to hold a very Arkansas is going to hold a very special place in my heart because my grandmother was from Arkansas, the deep, dark Ozarks. So a lot of these monsters I grew up hearing about from the Arkansas and the Ozarks and everything else like that. So it's going to be interesting to revisit these legends and these myths from my grandmother's home state. And I will try not to do it with the Arkansas accent because, my grandmother had that accent all the way up until the day she passed over. And there are some words in my vocabulary that still reflect the Arkansas, even though I've never been to Arkansas. Like creek, I say crick, for example. But if I can try to summon up that Arkansas drawl just for the Arkansas episodes, I think it would be interesting. I don't know who's laughing the most today, James or James. Seriously, that's a good audience.
Or Doc.
But that's the fun. That's what this show is all about. Bringing the cryptids and the stories and the myths that are buried in the back that not a lot of people know about. We bring them to the forefront. We have a good time. Some of us are drinking. Some of us are drinking more than others.
Hey, no, not yet.
Who's drinking more than who? That's up to you, the audience, to decide.
Hell, they'll all say me.
We got.
But I do have to say, all these cryptids, most of these cryptids that we've covered so far, I've not even heard of. I mean, yes, I've heard of the Dogman and Mothman, but all this other stuff I've not even heard of before. So this is fascinating news and information for me, and it'll obviously get me more curious into the cryptids and what I ever am, and to do more research and stuff on it. So,
well, the interesting thing is, The interesting thing is, our cohort once upon a time said, "Well, what else do we have left to cover? We've covered ghosts, UFOs, and Bigfoot. What more is there?" And this is also kind of just letting him know that yes, there is a lot more. Each state has a ton of cryptids. New Jersey has the Jersey Devil. Arkansas has 15 to 20. Illinois has a bunch. Ohio has a few. A lot of states either have their legends or folklore or their cryptids that have been seen currently. Um,
So our researchers
you know,
saying that they made a Flatwood Monsters plushie. If they did, I want to find one and get one.
yeah, she's
Oh,
putting up the links for them in the chat, so you'll have to
there
check
you
that
go.
out, people.
All
But
right,
yes,
there you go.
they make plushies for everything. Mothman, Bigfoot. Go out buy a plushie. I intend to buy
Mothman.
Mothman backdrops. Yes, Mothman is my jam.
Now then you just got to get the suction cups like the old Garfield plushies. You stick it on your car window.
Yes.
There you go.
Don't Okay, Jade, that's your next job is put those in your truck. Jade says she's put the links up in the chat for this. Links above, Squishables. Please feel free to sponsor DBK. By the way, anybody that wants to know, we are not sponsored by anybody. We're not making money off of this. This is 3 guys, 4 guys, a couple guys, couple women. It's just kind of whoever we throw in the mix, and this is just out of fun and excitement and making people laugh, and maybe a little excuse to have a few drinks here and there. Unfortunately, I can't. I would be having a cigar in my apartment, but I can't smoke in the place. So next time. But closing words for you guys since we're coming up on 60 minutes.
James, go ahead. Maybe you're our
Hey.
special guest.
No, I think it's fascinating. Like I said, we don't know what to talk there, and that's why we're doing what we're doing and checking it out. Very, very interesting. It's very fascinating.
Definitely. And for me, like I said, I've not heard of
King
most of these.
James?
Yeah, like I said, most of these cryptids I've never even heard of. So this is fascinating and interesting stuff for me.
Yep.
I just, let's bring it on, find out more. Doc.
Well, I'll close it out with saying that some cultures out there say that to give things life is to mention their name and to talk about them. So if you're wanting to talk about the dead and you want to bring them back to life, not really like reanimated zombies, but the thing to do is to talk about them, talk about their life, their stories. It keeps that memory alive. So by us discussing cryptids that nobody else has really heard about or that have faded away in the last 72 years, like the Flatwoods Monster, we are giving it a life. We're giving it a possibility of reopening those cases, looking at the situations, and giving those survivors of the witness survivors, maybe giving them a little bit more credibility to come forward and address these things. Some of these witnesses and survivors of these incidents have faded away in the memory. Some of them have just walked away from notoriety in the spotlight. But we can do our best and give them a little bit of little what's up and hey, we want to hear from you. So that was Doc.
King James.
And Wandering Spirits.
And we thank you all for listening. Tune in next week for the Grafton Monster. Same time, Sunday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're out. We're done. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.